ding, 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 ding.
For those of you I haven't met, my name is Alan Chuzignan, the director of the Trevor-Lovejoy Zoo. It is my distinct pleasure to welcome you all here today. I hope we survive the rain. For those of us that survived the deluge power outage Armageddon of last night, welcome back. And let us all be reminded to listen to Tom and know that Mother Nature will survive us all, regardless of how we manipulate her playground. So I'm going to put my inner Tom on here for a second. So maybe we should play nice in the sandbox we call Earth. But I digress. Tom was perhaps the most hopeful person I have known, and I thank him for pushing me to also have hope. Another one of my mentors, dear friend, and a transformational head of Millbrook School for 31 years, Drew Casertano, spent a lot of time with Tom over those years, and with Tom played a huge role in helping to transition the zoo to the resource it is today for our students and Greater Dutchess County community. I am excited to welcome Drew back to the zoo and turn the mic over to him.
Good morning, all. Good morning. And a special welcome to the Trevor and Lovejoy families. What a happy moment, and what a joy it is for Linda and me to be back on this wonderful, wonderful, and well-deserved occasion. I want to acknowledge first the evolution of the zoo. Obviously, Frank Trevor was its creator, and according to Alan, Seward Hiley was its savior, and then John O'Meggs was really the architect of the modern AZA accredited zoo, and Alan now moves it forward into its next powerful evolution. It's just amazing to see. So let's applaud them.
Yeah.
Well, they're great. Last night, amidst the deluge, we heard about the power of a teacher and the impact that he had on a young boy. And then how that radiated outward to benefit our planet as Tom became the planet doctor. It's a remarkable story, don't you think?
Yeah.
And then later at dinner, John read something from Mr. Pulling, which I believe he gave at a commencement at Princeton, or he gave at Princeton, when he talked about the necessity of open minds. And then how classrooms needed to be collaborative, where teachers came off the podium to be guides to their students, way ahead of his time. Well, I can't think of a classroom where that happens more than at the Trevor Zoo. It is entirely collaborative, where you have to approach problems and creatures with such an open mind. So that in itself, again, is worth celebrating. It's remarkable. And I want to add two things to the many well-deserved wonderful things that were said about Tom last night. And you may have to forgive me because I'm finding myself, where's that bottle of water when getting a little more emotional than I thought I would. First, Tom loved Millbrook School. As much as he loved the zoo. And he was a long-serving trustee, and by my count, there have been 8 or 9 trustees given the distinction of being honorary in the history of the school, and Tom was one of them. And his support for me especially over my time was remarkable and had so much to do with my progress. You gotta punch me or something. Anyway.
You're teeing me up, and I don't like it.
I know. That's just me. And then Tom Secondly, loved his friends, and he showed up. And I can't imagine a busier person. He was always jetting in from somewhere for 20 minutes to be part of something that he thought was important. He invited Linda and me and our 3 sons, and then their 2 had girlfriends. Talk about a testing ground to the Amazon. Right? These 2 girlfriends are now wives. One of whom may be here today. And that was a remarkable experience for us all. He showed up for our middle son's wedding. Again, I think he was there for about 2.5 hours in Bermuda. That was Tom. So in addition to all that we're celebrating today, which is so fitting and well-deserved, let us remember his love for Millbrook and his love for his friends. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Drew. All the memories that keep flooding back as we have these discussions are making me emotional. So darn you. All right. As Tom's project in the Amazon started to develop, he knew he needed a top quality person to lead the field operations, and he found that person in Rob Beauregard, Millbrook class of 1969. Rob worked for 10 years as the field director on the Biological Dynamics of Forest Fragmentation project in the Amazon, and then went on to be a professor teaching ornithology at the University of North Carolina. Rob has a lifelong passion for raptors, which endears him to my heart. By the way, this is a plug, I urge you to get a copy of his book, Bell's Journey, a true story about one of his beloved ospreys, and it will really grip you. Without further ado, Dr. Beauregard.
Thank you, Alan. Thank you, Alan. See if I can make this without choking up. Yeah. Good luck on that, right? So, Abraham Lincoln famously said something like, if you want me to talk for an hour, I'm ready. If you want me to talk for 10 minutes, I'll need a week. What he actually didn't add, which really was thinking, was that if you want me to talk for 2 minutes, not a chance. So my task this morning was to present a personal perspective on what Tom would think about this whole event and having his name attached to the zoo. So my background, class of 69 here, and I was 10 years behind Tom and got to take Mr. Trevor's Benny, which was introductory biology and advanced biology classes, which the advanced class has to have been the best high school biology class ever taught anywhere. When Frank knew I was heading to Yale, where Tom was working on his PhD thesis, banding birds in the Amazon, he got us in touch, and I wound up working for Tom that as my undergraduate work project at Yale. I'm getting his data onto IBM punch cards at the Yale Computer Center. Yesterday, John talked about big ideas, which is what Tom was all about. Save the Amazon, restructure international debt to save the planet, that sort of thing. And to launch the biggest conservation experiment ever undertaken, the Biological Dynamics of Forest Fragments Project, or BDFFP as we know it. Down in the Amazon, the elevator version of what that project is all about is an experimental study to find out how big forest preserve needs to be an effective conservation unit. So 9 years after I was helping Tom get his data onto the IBM mainframe computers at the Yale Computer Center, I was finishing my PhD, and Tom hired me to make this really big idea of his happen down in the Amazon. The project is still up and running 46 years later, which is a testament to the project. After 8 years, when I decided to come north, my first thought was, how can this project survive without me? And then I realized that you spend 8 years setting something up and it can't survive without you. You didn't do a very good job of setting it up. So the biggest feather in my cap relating to the project is that 46 years later, it's still going strong. So when Tom and I were discussing and designing the project, we were focused on the science, the how big should a forest reserve be, and that was what we thought that would be the big sort of outcome or big result of the whole project. And we had no idea that the really important contribution that the project would make would be to train a generation of conservation biologists in Brazil. Our project down there is simply known as the project among Brazilian conservationists, and you just talk about the project. Well, everybody knows that means the Lovejoy Project up in Manaus. So a few years back, I was at a meeting of the Brazilian Ornithological Society where a morning was devoted to research on birds that had come out of the project. One of my students was at the meeting at a table with 6 of his graduate students. As I looked at that group, I realized that those were Frank Trevor's academic great-great-grandchildren. Frank, to Tom, to me, to my student, to his graduate students, and so that network, Frank's network, continues to expand. It's all his students, academic offspring, are down in the Amazon, all through Central and South America, fighting to save the rainforests and to understand the science we need to know about in order to make that happen. So what would Tom be thinking if he were here? Well, he'd be wearing that big smile with a little devilish glint in his eye, and he'd be so proud to have his name attached to the zoo now, and he just would be up there being his totally eternally optimistic self, and knowing that the zoo will keep pushing us forward and helping the world be a better place. Thank you.
Thank you. We're ready.